Welcome, fellow carnivores. Months 3 through 6 are an exciting time. Your old habits are fading away. You're embracing new ones that should become a way of life. Not only will you witness remarkable changes in your outward appearance, but mentally, you're going to feel empowered like never before. Trust me. Once you get through these first 6 months, reaching that 1 year mark, it's going to be easy. Welcome to my channel. My name is Chad. I'm doing the carnivore diet for over 3.5 years now. Lost over 100 pounds. Incredible life changing, from my sleep getting better, my joint pains going away, and just so much more. I really hope you have the same experience as I have, and I'd love to hear your story. All right, let's go. The first 3 months were big. That first month is when you were kind of getting going, so it was really just the second and third month that you were getting progress. From months 3 through 6, every month is progress. I'd say it's like a roller coaster. That month 1 was you standing in line, then getting in the car, and then putting the straps on. That month 2 was kind of that first bit, taking that big climb. And the third month was probably the first drop. But the months 3 through 6 are going to be a big part of the ride where you're going through the loops, ups and downs, and it's going to be very exciting. Might be terrifying, exciting. Everybody's going to have their own journey, but you're on the way. I think it's important too at this time to remember, I feel it's about feeling good, how your clothes fit, and not as much as scale weight. And remember, as your weight starts to go down, you might not be losing the 20 pounds every month or 15 pounds. I think it's important to look at your weight loss as a percentage of what you have left to lose. So while you might not keep losing the exact same month to month, it might start dropping. That's going to happen. Again, it's about that percentage. You're having less and less to lose. Now, for me, about 1.5 years is when I hit my final plateau of where I wasn't losing any more weight. But I would say the first year, I was down to that point where I was really good, and that last 20 pounds ended up taking about 6 months, which seemed like a really long time considering how much I had lost total. So again, let's not get ahead of ourselves, get worried about, oh, I'm not losing as much this month, or I've kind of on a stall for a few months. That might happen. We want to be looking down the road to when we hit that plateau. So don't get worried about this month-to-month stuff too much. But again, I think you're going to be quite excited in this first 6 months. Now, I know many can be at the halfway point. I was from losing 100 pounds. I'd lost over 50. And I thought, wow, this is exciting. I'm actually on the downhill path now. There's some folks that might not have lost quite as much, and some that have lost a lot. I've heard some stories out there. There's people in that first year, they've lost like 200 pounds. Day by day, turns into weeks, turns into months, will turn into years. This is how we feel in that first 6 months. The healing we have, the joint pains, allergies, and maybe going to the doctor and your diabetes medications are going down, everything else. One thing that happened to me is I was going up the stairs and I told my wife, I can go up the stairs like I used to. She answered back with a question, how is that? And I answered quickly. I mean, that was kind of one of those moments I thought, wow, I'm actually on the way back to what I used to be. These are the little things that kept me motivated and kept me going. My sleep was so much better. My joint pains were gone. Again, all the things you hear. Now, I did a video on my allergies because that was a big problem with me. I was horrible all the time. There wasn't one day that they just went off. It was kind of a gradual thing. And again, those gradual things, sometimes you just start noticing all of a sudden, oh, I'm not even craving this other item, whatever it might be, ice cream or chips or something. It just kind of slowly goes away and you care less and less about it, and it's easier to stay away from it. I think this is what kept me, again, so motivated to stay with this, and that you're breaking those old habits and forming new ones. And hopefully that struggle with food addiction is kind of starting to go away. Now, I had some of these lifelong habits, and they take a while to break. A few things I did. I had some little silicone molds from IKEA, and I'd fill them up with cream and pop them in the freezer. That way, if I was used to having a bowl of ice cream or something, I could go in and have 1 or 2 little, like basically tablespoons of frozen cream, chew it up, and it was like ice cream, and it kind of gave me that little bit of satisfaction without binging. I had a big jar of this carnivore ice cream that seems to be popular. You could end up binging on the whole thing, but if there's only a few of those little things to take. It's easy to take one, close the door, walk away, maybe come back 5 minutes later and have one more. And that mental break would just allows you to say, I'm done, no more. The hard boiled eggs in the refrigerator. If you open the door in that old grazing habit, oh, what looks good to eat in here? You're not hungry. But if you are a little bit hungry, you're like, oh, I want to do something, but I want something now, rather than quickly grabbing that whatever it was that was easy to grab, spoonful of peanut butter or again, chips or something else. Those eggs are sitting there ready for you. You know they're healthy. Grab them, peel them. And I think too, the peeling each one at a time kind of slows that process down and allows you to feel that little bit of what's going into you. And it's time to take the next one and peel it. I think that is a good little trick to have. As I've mentioned, how your clothes fit, you're going to notice huge improvements. You might start having to think about, wow, like I've lost so much, I might have to buy some interim clothes. I can tell you one thing, don't be buying too many. Maybe buy like one pant and two shirts, because I did that a few times, and just go around with some baggy clothes. For some inspiration, I truly have no cravings for any of those old foods I have. I have no desire to even try them. So don't allow yourself to be tempted by some of these things. And we're going to touch coffee in a minute. I think it's ultimately something you should quit. But with the cheese at the 6-month mark, I think this is a good time to start cutting back and see how it goes. See if you can try to stop it for 3 months and kind of gain control of it a little bit more. And if not, that's fine. But again, I still say moderation, something with a meal. Now, one food that was interesting for me was chicken. It basically became empty for me at the 6-month mark. I could eat it, but it wouldn't do anything for me. I'd still be hungry after eating a ton of it. Chicken rice and teriyaki sauce was my favorite meal. It's an island staple. It's everywhere, and the plate lunch places would always make it so good, and you can get choke sauce on it. As they'd say, it broke the mouth. Now, at this 6-month mark, when it became unsatisfying, I just quit. And I think that's something you have to do, is be in touch with yourself. If something's not feeling right, just quit it, move on. Now, if you're fine with it, then keep eating it. But it was just something I thought I should mention because it was interesting to me that it became this empty food. And I've heard other people mention that too about chicken. They don't like it. Red meat, salt, and water is what we really want to try to get on, but it's hard to break all those things and just do that at once. And we kind of covered that before in some previous videos. Now, every once in a while, if my wife brings home a rotisserie chicken for the family and the kids, I might have some bites, and it's more of a memory thing. I don't really crave it, and I'm like, okay, I remember this, but I don't really feel like eating a whole bunch more. A few bites are all that I need. Now, back to the dairy. Again, small amounts, and as we keep moving, let's try to reduce that. The same thing with spices. Let's just see if we can kind of pull that back. Maybe the spices, one day just go with salt. See what you think of your steak with just salt. But if you need those spices or you need a little bit more cheese, I'd rather have you doing that than completely falling off this way of eating. So about this coffee. Now, I had tried to stop coffee when I first started and around the 6-month mark, and I couldn't. The typical what you think, the withdrawals, the headaches, the cravings, everything else. I do know what this is like, and I will just say, then keep drinking it and let's tackle that down the line. For me, it was at 2 years that I finally quit coffee completely and never went back. I was a cream with my espresso kind of person. That also gave me a stopping point for dairy, and I have huge gains when I stopped drinking coffee. Way better sleep and even more mental clarity that I didn't think was possible. Joint pains even became less, and the recovery even became better. I think this is an important thing that we want to look and think about eventually quitting coffee, even if you love it now. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. In conclusion, I think you can really look forward to months 3 through 6. Huge changes. Hopefully some of you hit the halfway point or past that. Your clothes are going to be probably fitting so poorly, you might have even gotten a few new pieces of clothing. And you're probably going to have noticeable changes in your joint pain, mental clarity, depression. Again, maybe you went to the doctor and you're trying to get off certain meds and you'll be seeing a huge improvement toward that. Watching the doctor scratch his head to why eating meat can do this, probably going to be worth that trip alone. I think also these changes are what keeps you motivated to get to that 1 year mark. I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Leave a comment below. And stay carnivorous, my friends. And a huyo.